Storytelling is perhaps the most fascinating part of any medium. When we read a book, watch a movie or play a video game, we can always appreciate if the story is told in a fresh and interesting way. And even if the story itself is nothing to sing about, with some special techniques it can still be elevated above others. In video games, there is a lot of ways storytelling can go. Visuals, text, and even environment can be used as a means to deliver the message. When it comes to cutscenes, which is a traditional way to go, games borrow heavily from movie makers, photo artists, and even painters. We use the classic rules of composition to place objects on the screen in such a way that they generate more tension and interest. We sit there for hours, picking the right camera angle and lighting for a keyframe, which is supposed to keep the player on their toes. And of course, we experiment with different color schemes to set the tone and mood of our cutscenes. How exactly does it work? Let's ask our cinematic artist, who is a rare guest on this side of the camera, since he's the one doing all the shooting and editing of our dev diaries.
One color can usually have multiple meanings, depending on the context. In our game we came up with 3 distinct color schemes to highlight 3 different natures of our hero's insanity. Red, for example, means our protagonist is losing his mind because he's struggling to accept his own actions. Red dominates this cutscene. It's the color of blood. It's impossible to overlook. It works on psychological and biological levels. It has this electrifying effect. Red tells you to stop whatever you're doing and pay attention.
Of course, colors go toe-to-toe with other techniques and tools. Storyboard, shot longevity, composition, etc. They all have come to games from other industries. Finding the perfect sequence is a game of trial and error. And when every piece of the puzzle is in its place, comes perhaps the most important part. I'm talking about lighting, of course.
Lighting is such a versatile tool, and we use it not only to create the right atmosphere, but also to tell a story in a symbolic way. Let's give a look at this particular shot. Light and dark symbolize the wellness of the main character and the insanity that slowly devours his mind. And even though there is light behind the character, he still cannot resist stepping into the dark. And that's why we use backlight here. By doing this simple trick, we bring the hero to the front and hide the rest of the environment, and at the same time to build up tension and surprise the viewer.
So cutscenes often follow the same rules as cinematography. And not unlike movies, video games have their share of technological limitations. Take animations, for example. Fluid and realistic movements are really important,